We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Wednesday, and I have to say, Happy New Year. It's now 2025 by the time you listen to this. Now, understand I'm recording this about 10 o'clock on New Year's Eve yesterday. And boy, howdy, I got to tell you, we had one hell of a party over here in the Boomer residence. Remember, we're 64, so we're not as crazy as we once were. It's weird when you're young, you go out and party and get crazy, then you have kids, and then you can't get crazy, and then you don't have kids anymore, and you're old, and you still can't get crazy. So the extent of our night amounted to hanging around the house. I went out and got a prime rib and some potatoes. I just made that for dinner. We at least had that going for us. And then we hung out, watched TV. What did we watch, do you ask? Well, my wife is into binging old television shows. So she spent the better part of the evening watching The Middle, which is a good show. But that's what we did. That's how crazy it got over here. We didn't do much of anything, and we really haven't done a lot in the last 20 years. New Year's Eve. It's We don't go to clubs. I don't drink. She only drinks a little bit. Restaurants are full. There's really not much you can do. It's really a young man and young woman's game. So we'll just sit on the sidelines and try to stay safe, keep our head covered, so we didn't get any of the shrapnel from the night. So anyway, we are here. My wife is in bed on New Year's Eve night, 2 hours before it turns 2025, and I'm here doing a fucking podcast. So what's that tell you? Not exactly the party animals you might expect. I wanted to bring something up. Donald Trump is having a New Year's Eve party as I speak, not as you listen. Elon Musk is there. And somebody asked Donald Trump why he changed his mind on the H-1B1 visas, the Elon Musk pet visas, where the tech people come across and work in this country and take away jobs from Americans. So, why did you change your mind on that? And he said, I didn't change my mind. That's exactly what I've always said. We need people coming over here. We need a lot of people coming over here. There'll be a lot of jobs. Well, funny, that's just the opposite of what he said when he talked about sending out, deporting 18 million people. That's what he said. He didn't want these people taking Americans' jobs, but now he's saying, yeah, it's cool if they take these jobs. Well, this is going to cause MAGA to get fired up. They already don't like Elon Musk, and I'm really interested to see what they do with Donald Trump. There's a couple of things they could do. They could turn on him, or they could go full cult and just say, "Oh yeah, we knew that. We knew that. That's what he said he would do." Because cult members will forgive Donald Trump or any cult leader for anything they do, even if it's contrary to what they've been told. Nonetheless, this is going to cause a lot of stirring in the Republican Party, a lot of dissension, a lot of divisiveness. And, frankly, that's something we like. We like to see that divisiveness because it's going to be that much harder for them to get anything done. We saw it with the funding bill. We'll see it with everything else he's going to try to do when he finally gets inaugurated. So you're probably saying to yourself, what the fuck are you going to do tonight? I mean, there's some news stories here and there, but for the most part, not much. It's a holiday. I don't have a guest. I'm not doing a live. I figured that was kind of tacky, doing a live on New Year's Eve, as if people don't have better things to do. So what we're doing here is what we do oftentimes is catch up on emails. I got a shitload of emails, and I really have to get to those emails, address those emails, as I've always promised to do. So that's what we're going to do today. First one starts out, Merry Christmas, Boomer Mike, to you and the family and the Boomer Brigade. I took great interest in your video ASAP. You understand why people feel why the economy is so bad and essentials such as rent and housing are out of reach. That things in general, like education, is priced out of reach. It's true, and so be it. However, this is an example of not being a victim, but a volunteer. The same people who are complaining about it condoned it for 5 decades now by falling for the get rid of regulations and make government smaller. You and I are both participants, albeit until we regained our sanity after voting for Reagan. From 1946 to above 1973, America enjoyed the biggest economic boom in history. The top elite were taxed at 90%. From that, we built education systems that was the envy of the world, an incredible job market, the highest salaries, many and infrastructures, etc. Because of this, the middle class was becoming economically and especially politically powerful. The elite saw us as too free. So Nixon's domestic policies ended that era, opened China, spread division, and economic downturns. Reagan further expanded those policies by deregulation and supply side or trickle-down economics, which deliberately destroyed the power of the middle class, destroyed the free market, and led to the corrupt scumbag Scalia to enact the Citizens United, which put the final nail in the coffin. The people complaining about all of this voted for their own demise and disastrous results. The destruction of the education system reinforced the ignorances and prejudices which are now dividing us. There are no victims here. You wanted small government. This is what it's like. Now we've fallen for these clowns who are going to continue sticking the hot pipe up your rear and telling you they're going to make you great again, and it all the fault of gays, minorities, and migrants. Well, no, it isn't. It's because you morons, Boomer Brigade not included. So no sympathy here. It's what you get when hate and stupidity replaces thinking. You know, being woke. That's why they hate woke. Woke is when you see through the bullshit. The waiter has now brought the bill for it. Z-Man. And Z-Man, I couldn't say it any better. You're absolutely right. This all started long ago, maybe with Nixon, certainly with Ronald Reagan. And they were playing the long game. Let's be perfectly fucking honest about it. That's what they were doing. They were playing the long game. And we are where we are because we allowed it to happen. Our apathy or our ignorance caused us to be put in this situation. But that doesn't mean it's over. I mean, we got burned. We look foolish. That doesn't mean we can't do anything about it. And I think we will do something about it. Hopefully, people will wake up and we'll be able to push back and see our way through this bullshit that might be with us for as long as 4 years. All right. Next one says, "Hi, Mike. Thanks for your great podcast. On the Bulwark podcast with Tim Miller, John Favreau said, we'll have President Chuck Grassley if they can't elect a speaker to count the electoral votes. Judy, Australia." Well, I guess that's distinctly possible. I don't think it's very likely. I had it explained to me by Eric. Here's the deal. January 3rd, if they don't pick a speaker or they kick out Mike Johnson and there is no speaker, the House doesn't really have the ability to do anything. They will certify the election because that's the vice president, and it's a ceremonial thing, basically. But once it's done, they're not going to be able to have the inauguration. Donald Trump will not be inaugurated. And you can tell that the Republicans will be fucking going crazy about that. That's why I think it's unlikely to happen. But if that were to happen, and there was no president because Joe Biden's going to be done on January 20th, so is Kamala Harris. And if Donald Trump is not inaugurated, what happens is it would go to the Speaker of the House. But of course, the reason we're in this situation would be there is no Speaker of the House. So it would fall to the Senate pro tem. Now, there is a Democratic Senate pro tem currently because the Democrats control the Senate. But after January 3rd, the Republicans will control the Senate. And the pro tem is likely to be Chuck Grassley. So theoretically, that's possible. 96-year-old dumb fuck Trump LaFuck will be the president of the United States, temporarily speaking. But having him there for even 1 minute is an absolute joke. And it's right in line with what we expect out of Republicans. Fucking chaos and a fucking joke. So, Judy, you're absolutely right. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. All right, America, your sister, the Dominion of Canada here, about your next partner, Donald. The clown you turfed in 2020 for a much older, albeit sensible and caring man, your sister nations all breathed a sigh of relief when you tossed him. Since then, he cheated on you in many ways, grabbed Lady Liberty by the torch, disrobed, and had his way with Lady Justice, and yet you're taking him back. During the summer, you even toyed with going to the wild side with a strong woman of color. We all would have welcomed that, but instead you chose him again. He and his posse of miscreants will be returning to wreck your life, blow up your bank account, and trash the White House. While he puts up fences against your neighbors, he will tell you where to go and what to think while running around with his whores from Russia, North Korea, and Hungary. Word is he's running with a nasty Israeli piece as well. To top things off, he's shitting all over your neighbors, and man, in the long run, that's not going to end well for you. In conclusion, sister, hate to say it, but you are on your own. World's a much smaller place. The world of commerce is evolving. China is coming into her own. They will gladly do additional business with us, not to mention our older European sisters. Yeah, we will take a hit during the realignment, but in the long run, it might be for the best. You may not know it, but your age is showing and your importance to the world is on a downslide. Pity you were once pretty hot. Anyway, take a long look in the mirror. A bouffant and an orange tan will only last a few years. Me, I'm hoping it's only until 2026. In the meantime, do us all a favor and stay home. Thanks. Merci, Canada. I got to be honest with you, I wouldn't at all be surprised if that's the overall opinion or attitude about America. For other countries that depend on America for any number of reasons, it's got to be frustrating. It's got to be dumbfounding to understand why America would do this to themselves again. I said when Donald Trump was elected, more than anything, I'm absolutely embarrassed for my country and for the people in this country. Even if only 40% voted for Donald Trump and Kamala won, even if that were the case, I'd still be embarrassed. How in the world can 40%, even 49% of this country vote for Donald Trump after all we've seen, all we've heard, and all we know? It just doesn't matter to some people. And it can only be described as evil or stupid or a combination thereof. Thank you, Canada. We appreciate the support you've given us up to now. Please be patient with us. All right, the next one, Paul. Good morning, Mike. I really enjoyed your TikTok lives, especially with the panel. Your last session with Rational Boomer TikTok Roulette was great. The schmuck, Jace's dad, right from the get-go, was the epitome of a Trump humper. His speech was the low He-Man drawl that these weak-minded fools use to present themselves. He presents as an atypical Trumper, being uniform, slack-jawed, simple-minded, whose idea of a debate is to talk over everyone else. This is the Steve Bannon flood the zone approach. Best to ignore the noise and move on. Ain't nobody got time for that. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, that is a standard strategy. Just keep talking loud and long. And as I pointed out to some of these people, you can try that with some folks, but not me, because I can talk louder and longer than they fucking can. And this is what confuses them. This is what confuses them when they talk to me. I give them something they don't expect, not the typical libtard. I sound more like a Republican, but my content is more liberal. Fucking confusing to these dumb fucks. And this is a tact we all have to take. I've always said, when you ever want to fuck with somebody's head, whenever you want to get the drop on somebody, pay close attention to what they're saying and doing. Try to figure out what they expect. And then even if it's not comfortable for you, give them the exact opposite of what they expect. They expect me to spout facts and data and be calm and deferential. Not going to do that. I've never done that in my life. not only since being on TikTok, but anywhere I've been, much to the chagrin of a lot of folks. Not a lot of folks are happy with it, but the folks that I do call out like that are certainly deserving, whether it be political in nature or back when I was working. If I'm right, I'm right. I'm not going to back down if I'm right. And this one, when it comes to the Trump-lefucks and what we are supporting, it's not even up for question. We know what's wrong. We know what's bad, and we know what's right. There's no debate here. There's no negotiation, and there's no compromise. You're either going the right way or you're going the wrong way, and fuck you if you're going the wrong way. All right, the next one says, Mike, please know that in my first email to you regarding starting an activist group, I clearly said that you do not need to do much to get this off the ground. Your part would be to make an announcement asking for those interested in being part of this to send an email and include their permission for you to share their email addresses. The other part you could help with is to periodically conduct a live for people to discuss issues as much as a larger group. I was hoping that Old Soul would take it from there. Because she's unable to do this, I'm hoping that someone with some computer and internet knowledge to set up a place for volunteers to meet would step forward to begin the process. For several reasons, I cannot do this, but I certainly would be an active participant to assist the organizer and attend meetings. Also, you may send my email address to volunteer organizers. Thank you, Max. Now, Max sent an email a while back, and he was talking about all the things we need to do and that I should do this and I should do that. And he's trying to explain how I maybe misread that, and maybe I did. But there are people doing those sorts of things, as I've told you. Richard Green, for example, is trying to put together a YouTube page with a bunch of different creators that are well known and have a central point where you can get information out. I'm not an activist. I'm a loudmouth motherfucker who has a podcast. That's who I am. I stir things up. There are better organizers than I am. And if I inspire somebody to do that, great. But I'm not going to tell anybody they have to do anything. In this world, we're old enough and we know what we're dealing with. We should know what we have to do. And organizing is probably part of it. I'll be honest with you, Old Soul is already organizing things in order to help people through this next 2 or 4 years. She's a busy woman. She has a job. She has a family. She's taking care of people she doesn't even know. And she's also organizing groups so everybody can take a little of the pressure off of them in her own area. I think we should take the lead from somebody like Old Soul. It'd be nice to create these big organizations, but the problem with big organizations, you can't count on everybody. People have different things in their lives. To follow through with it for the next 2 years is a lot to ask somebody. So what I would suggest, we do all we can individually by coming and listening to the program and airing your thoughts. That's helpful. It's helpful in trying to carry the narrative and talk about what's going on. The best thing we can do is have people who are informed and understand what's going on and who Trump-lefucks truly are, and then act accordingly. I mean, we know what's right, we know what's wrong, and we've got to do a lot of things. But here's the thing, Max. Before anybody does the organizations and the protesting or whatever it is you want to do, we need the Democrats to get on board, because they're our only way to fight against Republicans. I'd love to say there's another organization or a third party, but there isn't. There's not going to be by 2028, not one that's powerful enough. So we need the Democrats to wake up and figure out what the fuck is going on and do some of the right things, make some changes so they don't run into the same situation that they ran into in 2024. I get what you're saying, Max. I can't picture in my mind what that organization looks like. It's not that that organization isn't possible. It certainly is. And maybe somebody listening to this podcast gets it right off the bat. We do have to do a lot of things. We do have to come together. And part of the rational boomer is getting people of a like mind. You'll get podcasters out there that are looking to make money off their stuff. They've got Patreon, they got paywalls, and they got all this stuff. As long as I'm doing this, my goal isn't making money. My goal is getting as many people together as possible. That's what I can do. Now, if there's something that can be done further with it, let's do it. But we all have to pitch in. We all have to do some things. We all have to get busy and get to work before these fucks are able to tear everything apart. Next one comes from Sam. He says, he or she, I suppose it could be a she. Hello, Mike. Hope all is well with you. Listening to 1227 podcasts that more than 50% of Teslas are made in Shanghai. Musk doesn't seem to advertise that. They live with guests. The live with the guests was a good format. Keep up the good fight. Regards, Sam. Thank you very much. Yeah, I do like those kind of lives. I think what I'm going to do in the future, though, I've got a number of people that can come on those lives and talk. All of them are valuable. Eric, Old Soul, TJ, Rebecca, Will, Jace could even go on there. But I think in the future, what I'm going to do, and I'm not trying to discount anybody in doing this, I want to offer a little less confusion and get more of the people, the roulette, as you call it, people coming in and being able to talk. So when I have permanent guests in there, I think I'm going to limit it to two. We'll rotate so everybody will get their opportunity. But I think this gives everybody more opportunity to speak. People like Eric and Will and Rebecca and TJ and Old Soul, they have a lot to say. And what they have to say is very valuable. And I want to make sure it gets out. And it's tough to do that in an hour and a half with four main guests, including me, and then bringing the people in. Part of the reason I like doing that is because I think audience participation is valuable. It creates interest and it creates participation, of course. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit. We're going to do similar things, same thing really. But I want when Will comes on or when TJ comes on or whoever comes on, I want to give them an opportunity to for us to realize the full benefit of the things they have to say. So what that means, I'll probably end up doing more lives with that premise. So we'll see what happens. I enjoy doing the lives and I love talking to folks, and it's getting us some new guests. Eulina and John were two guests who I met on the live. I said, fuck, you got to call, you got to come on. And they did. So it's a good, it's a good way to cultivate the program and a good way to cultivate ideas. And that's what we really have to do henceforth. All right. Next one says, hi, Mike, have a quick note for you. I just watched a TED Talk by a gentleman named Nick Hanauer. In his presentation, he talked about wealth and about capitalism in the United States and what works and what doesn't, and why trickle-down economics is a farce. His speech was interesting and definitely educational, and I think it could spark some very interesting conversation on your show. I found this on YouTube. Sincerely, hope that you will take the few minutes to listen and let us know what you think. I would like to find a way to get this gentleman's message to spread and take hold. I believe the talk may be entitled Pitchforks Are Coming. Thanks for all you do. I look forward to your podcast daily. Judy, Crazy Cat Mom, Portland, Oregon. Well, certainly I'll take a look at it. There's a lot of good information on YouTube and TikTok for that matter. There's a lot of very smart people, and I try to listen to as many as I possibly can. So I appreciate the tip. And Judy didn't stop there. She said, I found another TED Talk from Nick Hanauer. And granted, it is 5 years old. I believe that is pertinent to what we're dealing with now. He talks about the dirty secret of capitalism. And I think you may find it interesting as well. Judy, Crazy Cat Mom, Portland, Oregon. Yeah, I'll check that out too. And those of you listening, you might want to do the same, because You may be able to watch it before I do, and then you can come on the show and explain it to us. Or Judy, you can come on the show and explain it to us. All you have to do is send me an email at rationalboomer@gmail.com, and we can talk. All right, the next one says, Dear Mike, we cannot underreact. Fact, despicable DJT incited a mob to overturn the 2020 election. Fact, he's an adjudicated rapist, but it didn't have to be adjudicated. He admitted he had a propensity to assault women. They just let you do it. So, yeah, some of us are on an outrage overload. What's problematic is that everyone isn't outraged. He's a despicable human being. I'm furious we have been forced to have that shit stain on my radar since 2015. What the actual fuck? It's embarrassing and inexplicable to me. How can there have been such wide open, constant coverage of this unserious and dangerous man? Dems and Republicans have exposed him to be the piece of shit he is, and there's been zero accountability. I'm not overacting. Rather, Trump tards are dragging it out to voting for him. The fucker never went away, and he tried to steal my vote and nullify it. He has violated every norm of basic decency. He's insulted and defamed our national security. He gave microphone a simulated hand job and blow job. He wants to prove that he can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not lose any votes. All the while, he doesn't know fuck all about fuck all, but he's president-elect. George Floyd's murder by Derek Chauvin and the assault on Black Lives Matter protesters on Pennsylvania Avenue pushed me to over the ledge. In short, I'm disappointed with my fellows that voted for the embarrassment of a president. Sorry for the buzz rant, Boomer. Beth, at 61 years old, auto worker in Redneck, Indiana. I share all your thoughts, Beth. I agree completely. It is an absolute embarrassment. And when I woke up on November 6th, my wife said to me, You promised me he fucking won. I couldn't believe it myself. Even though when I went to bed, I saw it wasn't looking great. I hoped that when I woke up that all would be fine. And of course it wasn't. And all I could say to my wife is, it makes no logical sense. There is no reason this could have happened. It just makes no fucking sense at all. And that's the weird thing about this. We keep hearing people talking about, well, something's coming from the Democrats at the last minute. I'm not convinced of that, frankly, because I don't have a lot of confidence in the Democratic Party or the DOJ. But, if something does, I'll be happy to say I was wrong and be giddy as a motherfucker if it does. But you're absolutely right, Beth. I couldn't agree with you more. All right. Mike just got done listening to the live with the open questions. Love all the extra thought process coming in by a lot of smart and involved people. What the fuck was that gaslighting bitch Trump-the-fuck trying to get across about abortions into the 12th week? If a woman carries a fetus into the 12th week, I believe the woman is trying for a family. And don't you think it's pretty strange, Trump taking all this abuse from people talking about Elon being president-elect if Starlink didn't have something to do with getting him elected? And for you, TJ, Rebecca, Ed, and Eric, you folks fucking rock. Mike, the five of you really helped me out, helped me get through the day, and not to leave out Old Soul. That woman is a godsend for everything she does for the people in those red states. Much love, lady. Thanks to all of you with the sane minds. Keep fighting the good fight. Trump-the-fucks, fuck off and die. Thanks, Boomer. Jay. And Jay is the young man who's been on the program. So we've had a couple of young people come on the program. We've had Jay from California, who's moving to Canada. And we had John recently, who is a farmer and 23 years old, living in Illinois. And I'm very grateful for those young people coming on the program. It's one thing we old folks come on and talk about this stuff, and it's important. And we have a different perspective. We aren't necessarily even fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our kids and our grandkids. Well, these young men are the age of our kids and grandkids. And it's important to hear what they think because they're going to be making the final decisions. They're going to be making the choices with their votes in the not too distant future. As well, they should. I mean, it's their destiny, not ours. And they should have some say in the determination of what's going to happen to this country ultimately. Hopefully, they make the right choices. They didn't in November, on November 5th. But there are going to be some lessons learned, without question, some lessons learned. A lot of people are going to be embarrassed, surprised, or whatever the fuck. Uh, it's unfortunate that we have to go about it this way. It's unfortunate that people have to get kicked in the ass before they realize what's good for them. But apparently, that's the case in this country. There are enough dumb people in this country where they need to suffer some of the slings and arrows of this life before they fucking get it. Yeah, it is frustrating, and I agree with you wholeheartedly with that regard. All right, next up, dear Boomer, I'm listening to you and Old Soul on TikTok. Unfortunately, I didn't catch you live. Why do Americans have a lower standard for our presidents than any other human in their life? Trump's behavior and language is unacceptable at every level. We would not accept it from anyone else. I come from the school to whom much is given, much is required. I'm choosing my own alternate reality via alcohol and weed. It helps me cope with a truly upside down, nonsensical, fucked up country. I appreciate you, Boomer, and your growing group of creators. Beth, 61, laid off auto worker. Well, thank you, Beth. I share your thoughts and considerations there. I wonder too. I wonder how that's possible. That's why I told my wife when he was elected, it makes no logical sense. You would think people would be better than that, but apparently that's not the case. That's not the case at all. All right, next up. Hey, Mike, thanks for all you do. Your lives have been great, and your last show with Ed was a keeper. They're all good, but I have a pressing request. I'm not sure if you know Jessica Denson's podcast, but she has been a real force in pushing the enforcement of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Since time is of the essence, I will keep this brief and just provide you with the links. One is her latest podcast. The other link is to join a protest in D.C. on January 3rd to the 5th, demanding Congress to uphold the 14th Amendment. Trump at this time is disqualified. It takes 2/3 vote of Congress to remove that disability. John. Now, I am familiar with Jessica Denson. I understand she was at Midas Touch for a time, and then she was, I think, forced out. And, you know, organizations don't like rabble rousers. They don't like rebels. And Jessica Denson seems to be a rebel. That's why when people say to me, why don't you do something with uh, Midas Touch, that opportunity's never arisen, and it never will because they don't want people like me. And it's nothing negative about Midas Touch. They're in a different world, a different parallel universe. They're an organization trying to gain viewers and money, and God bless them for doing that. And God bless them for the good things they do. But there will always be situations when somebody like me or Jessica Denson or somebody else who likes to speak their mind and speak the truth, um, those bigger groups are not going to want those kinds of people because it might hurt the bottom line. Again, I'm not putting Midas Touch down for this. I will put them down for allowing Jessica Denson to get away. Uh, you know, the thing about it is she's all about the 14th Amendment and all this stuff that we hear going on in the background, but we have no proof of. I've said before that I'm skeptical about that whole situation. I hope against hope that it's true and something does happen at the last moment. I'm just not very confident in what I can expect out of the Democrats. So for her to do that sort of thing with Midas Touch, that has an air of conspiracy theorist, a little crazy. And that's why Midas Touch said, you maybe better go on your own. And frankly, for Jessica Denson, this is probably a better move for her ultimately, especially if actually something does happen. What does that say about Midas Touch? And what does that say about Jessica Denson? I guess time will tell, but time is short, so it better happen sometime soon. All right, next up it says, I'm not all that smart or worldly, but I don't understand why there are so many people standing by and letting these men cowardly destroy everything that is good for their own greed and quest for ultimate power. I remember being taught in school about another man that tried to take over Europe and was not only defeated, but left the world with the unifying desire to never allow this to happen again. But here we are. It's happening again as we see people and businesses that stood up against this power are now bowing down to kiss the ass of the orange turd. Why would this be happening as we look at the end of the free world as we've known it? I do not believe we have forgotten. I have faith that they are powers much greater and smarter than me that are feeding this piece of shit the crap his ego obsesses to hear in order to bring his defenses down and then to bring him into submission. I think it's called appropriately rope-a-dope. Today, we need faith in humanity rather than the hope for the dope. Anyway, I'd rather die fearlessly speaking what I believe is good than be known as an ass kissing coward. I can't help to think that boys and men fought for our freedom. Many died as heroes. Lest we forget, keep the faith. Bill, human being, living the human experience. And I agree with you. I don't know that we're looking at the end of the world or the sky falling or anything like that. Donald Trump doesn't have the competence to pull something like that off. He's a fucking dope. And dopes don't get much accomplished, especially when they're fooling themselves as well as all of their followers. Because Donald Trump believes everything he says because he's delusional. Um, you're right, though. We need people to speak out. We need people that are unafraid. Fear is the best thing for narcissists or bullies. They want you to be scared. If you're not scared, they don't know what to do with that. So remember that. We can't go into the next 4 years being frightened. We got to be warriors. We got to fight. We got to kick them in the nuts, spit in their eye, and push them down best we can. All right. Next one says, Mike, I hope you're having a good Saturday. I know you follow Heather Cox Richardson, and I hope you read her latest discussion about the war between MAGA and Musk. It's eye-opening to say the least. She explains the rift between Musk, Ramaswamy, and Laura Looper and exposes their true motives. I don't think the average MAGA understands at all. No, I'd have to agree with you. They don't get much at all. Musk's supposed partner in Doge, Vivek Ramaswamy, expounded on America's mediocrity, those who choose Stephen or Stefan over Urkel or venerate Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech from Saved by the Bell will not produce the best engineers. He does know these are fictional characters. He cites Americans' desire for work-life balance. That's a bad thing, evidently, that we should be choosing the jocks, the ones who spend their weekends participating in science competitions, more extracurriculars instead of sleepovers and hanging out at the mall. Do kids really do that anymore? There should be more math tutoring, fewer Saturday cartoons, blaming our culture for not having enough parents pushing their kids to excel at the cost of normalcy, blaming American laziness and complacency. Normalcy doesn't cut it in the hyper competitive global market for tech talent. And if we pretend it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. Laura Looper, as she calls them, of the MAGA world want a reduction in HB1 visas, not an extension. Racist greatest replacement conspiracy theory. This is not what we voted for. In 2020, a study by the Economic Policy Institute said the American employers who rely on HB1 visa programs to recruit temporary employees with highly specialized skills and technical education often pay those workers well below market wages. In other words, they can save money. Exactly. Large companies like Amazon, Google, and Facebook will make robust use of the program to fill job shortages, proposing that we should be recruiting super talented engineers who are super motivated, top talent, from wherever they want to be, who would just be happy to be here. Why not have programs that recruit Americans and train them for their apparent lack of talent for the positions they want to fill? They'd rather look overseas for people they can exploit. So I guess some brown people are okay. I believe that Trump has now stated he would give green cards to immigrants who graduate from college here. I thought they wanted to keep immigrants out. Some of them are okay as long as they serve their purpose. Overnight, Musk, Mr. Free Speech, was busy having a conniption fit, suspending the subscriptions of ex members who expose him and his lies, accusing them of lying and demanding to know where they got their information and if they are Jewish. Meanwhile, where is the naked emperor? On the golf course, of course. There is no way this will lead to good governance or benefit Americans. Heather Cox Richardson's post on this is long, but worth the read. I also suspect that those supposed leaders, Musk et al., are assuming that we don't read. What a mess. I can't help but wonder how long this will continue. No one who supported and helped elect Dirty Diaper Donnie seems to be on the same page. Someone else I've followed on YouTube is Tennessee Brando, who breaks things down in a very no nonsense way. Hope you'll check him out. Yeah, I know who Tennessee Brando is. This is exhausting. I'm hoping the fire will burn itself out. I will look forward to hearing your thoughts and the people who come on your live podcast. Judy Crazy, Cat Mom, Portland, Oregon. Judy's a little fired up. This is like the third or fourth email, which is perfectly fine. Don't hesitate to write if you've got something to say. All right. Hey, Boomer and Boomer Brigade. I hope everyone is enjoying the holidays. I know I am. Anyway, I'm sure you caught the story that Trump appears to have sided with Muskie, that American people are too dumb to be trained for high tech jobs, and now we need immigrants to be brought in. Of course, this is totally against his MAGA base of knuckle draggers. This on top of Muskie saying a big part of MAGA are contemptible idiots. Oh man, it's getting good. A shout out to Garage Door Jeff, and especially a shout out to Old Soul. She's 110% right. We've evolved to the point now because of this election to learn that both parties are just a facade and a scam. It's not about ideology or values, but the ultra rich against we, the people, regardless of what we believe. Everything now is clear. Everybody study up on the Gilded Age and especially the French Revolution. In 6 months, this country is going to get an education like you won't believe. We'll see about this unity deal. Z Man. Thank you, Z Man. You're absolutely right. And I was thinking, well, we can't get these text people here because they're too stupid. So let's get them from overseas. This walks right into what I've suggested before, that this country is in crisis when it comes to education and ignorance. So maybe this is a time to put all kinds of money into education and get as many people into colleges and tech schools and those sorts of things, pay for it, and try to build up some intellect back in this country. We're in a crisis situation. If you have to go to India to fill a job in San Francisco, something's wrong there. That sounds like something we need to fix. And we can fix that by getting more people educated. And we're not going to get more people educated if you keep charging ridiculous prices and slapping them with long-term high loans. Seems like an easy fix, but the Republicans will not go for that because that's giving money to the middle class, and they're totally against that. All right. Hey, Mike, Dana Carvey and David Spade has a podcast called Superfly. Have you heard of it? Yeah, I've listened to their show a number of times. Anyway, they interviewed Stephen Greer, a gentleman that has a lot of info about the sightings of drones. Don't want to waste your time if not interested. I myself feel pretty confident in what he's talking about. Peace all, Jay. So I'm thinking Jay's saying he wants to come on and talk about it. Well, Jay, you can come on and talk about it. Just let us know. But there's another one from Jay. Hey, Mike, it's Jay again. While you and John were talking, you were bringing up the fact about all the dumb fucks in the United States. I don't know, but I kind of agree with the Canadian diplomat that Ben Meiselas was interviewing about the tariffs a few days back when he said they feel like they're living on the second floor of a meth lab in a basement. Get it together, people. Peace. Jay. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that immensely. Hey, Mike, I just wanted to tell you that I'm absolutely loving the live show with multiple guests. It's so cool to have the panel of the usual guests like Eric, Will, TJ, and now Rebecca with a special appearance of Old Soul as well as yourself. These episodes have become my favorite. I'm with you that the caller, Mike, the ex-veteran, needs to be on an episode of your show. We need to hear his story. Absolutely. Hopefully, that may be coming next Sunday or Monday. I think we're working something out on that. Thanks for all you do and helping to keep me sane every day. The next season, if Captain Chaos is going to be bumpy, I'm so glad we'll have you and others to get through it. Yeah, we'll do the best we can. And that comes from Larissa. All right, next up it says, Hi, Boomer. Don't know if this is true or not, just passing the information along. It came from a retired school teacher that I used to work with and considered a reliable source. As for me, still technologically challenged, but I reposted it. It goes as such. Hello, it's official, signed at 3:23 p.m. It's even on TV. Mine really turned blue. Don't forget that tomorrow starts the new Facebook rule, aka the new name Meta, where they can use your photos. Don't forget the deadline is today. I do not authorize Meta, Facebook, or any entity associated with Facebook to use my photos, information, messages, or post past or future. And what they're talking about there is as of January 1, as of today, Facebook literally owns whatever you post. Now, I'm not going to be posting on Facebook because they fucking banned me. Probably did me a favor in that regard. So that's something to note. If you're on Facebook and you're posting things, it may or may not affect most people, but understand if they want to, they own your shit. Anyway, she went on to say, with this statement, I notify Facebook that it is strictly prohibited to disclose, copy, distribute, or take any other actions against me based on this profile and or its contents. Violation of privacy may be punishable by law. Here's how to do it if you're thinking of getting off Facebook because of the volume of sales, ads, and trash and stuff. So hold your finger anywhere in this post and click copy. Go to your page where it says what's on your mind. Tap your finger anywhere in the blank field. Click paste. The upgrades the system. Hello, new and old friends. Now that's the letter that was sent. And this person said it actually worked. Hold your finger anywhere in the message and copy will appear. Click copy, and then you go to the page, create a new post, and place your finger anywhere in the open field. Paste will appear and click paste. This will bypass the system. He who does nothing consents. According to the show 60 Minutes, just in case you missed it, a lawyer advised us to post this. The violation of privacy can be punished by law. Note, Facebook Meta is now a public entity. Every member must post a note like this. If you do not publish a statement at least once, it will be technically understood that you are allowing the use of photos as well as information contained in your profile. I hereby declare that I do not give my permission to use any of my personal data. Contrary, Mary. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think Facebook is running to the end of its expiration date. Frankly, it's antiquated. You know, a lot of older folks use it, and I appreciate that. But there are better ways to do things. I actually like Blue Sky now. I don't do anything more than post links to my YouTubes, but it does seem to have more flexibility, and it's gaining an audience every day. All right. It says, hello, Mike. I hope this finds you, your family, and every one of your guests as well. Guest well. I want to say I really like John, the farmer from Illinois. I learned a lot about farming from him. As all your guests, except for the Trumplefucks, are top notch, I want to say one thing that pissed me off immensely is some fuckhead that makes comments about a man's cough or about a bump on your nose. Are these idiots Trumplefucks sounds like their mentality? Aren't we supposed to be listening to what the guests have to say, learn something, and make comments? I also want to say I put my errands on hold to hear Yulina. She reminds me of some of the sisters I know. No nonsense. God bless her. She sure reminds me of Jasmine Crockett. Well, she'll be pleased to hear that because she loves Jasmine. We all love Jasmine. In conclusion, I want to say that one of your lies to me, you invited me to come on your podcast. It would be an honor, Mike. What is the procedure for that? I'm sorry, I'm not smart with all these phones and computers. Again, thanks for all the likes and for reading Cheryl's, his sister, and my emails. She said, hello, take care, and have a safe and blessed night. Keep up the good work, Steve and Cheryl, their brother and sister. Well, Steve, it's very easy. All you do is send me an email, rationalboomer@gmail.com. Clearly, you have that email because you send a lot of emails, thankfully. Just tell me you want to be on, and then we'll work out a time to have you on, and we'll just do that. It's as simple as that. Then it's a matter of me sending you a Zoom link. You go on your computer, click the Zoom link, you come in, and we have a conversation. It's all pretty easy. All right. Next one says, hey, Mike, long time no email from me. I've had plenty of opinions and rants, of course, but I've consciously withdrawn quite a bit from political news and podcast, etc., after all the election results came in. I've still listened to you daily, and I've slowly let in a few other trusted sources outside the mainstream media. I will honestly never give mainstream media my time ever again. They not only failed us for years, but they are now completely compromised by the Billionaires Club. I just finished listening to the podcast with Yulina. I absolutely felt a kinship or sisterhood with her. I've also enjoyed listening to Kristen and both of the young Gen Z guys you've had on. I've always enjoyed Will, Eric, Ed, and Old Soul. I feel like our Boomer Brigade is encompassing a broadening swath of the American population, and that gives me a teeny bit of hope for humanity. I agreed with you, Lena, that if we'd run Gavin Newsom on the exact same platform Kamala did, he would have likely won by a convincing amount. And while I'm grateful we have a deep bench, I'm still so pissed at fucking white Americans. And this comes from a white woman in her 50s in the South, named Karen, for God's sake. LOL. I'm ashamed and embarrassed of the redneck South and bumfuck Midwest. I'm so over the Electoral College letting these ignorant assholes determine elections. I'm pissed at the media trying to rewrite history and wash Trump. They praised his election strategy, etc. There was no strategy. He won based on racism and bigotry, point blank, period. I agree. And I believe he had some help cheating with Elon and his money. I believe Elon bought a presidency, which Trump gladly sold to him in exchange for getting out of his upcoming court cases. Of course, I have no faith that the Democrats will do anything to stop this inauguration on January 20th. I've adopted the attitude to watch it burn and gleefully point out to anyone who voted for him that they've gotten what they voted for. I'm just super pissed, and we have to suffer along the way. At 53 years old, writing out of 4 years of a bullshit seems more daunting as I have fewer and fewer election cycles in my life. Writing out 4 years of Republican fuckery when I was 20 seemed less defeating than round 2 of Trump at age 53. Damn, I want to go back to the old days when these racist assholes hid in plain sight and weren't emboldened like this. Anyhow, I just wanted to reach out and thank you for keeping on and continuing to reach more people. I'd be happy to be on the podcast again sometime. It's time for us sane folks to hunker down and form a community of professional MAGA hecklers. I picture our group akin to the old guys in the balcony on the Muppet Show. If you're close to my age, you all get that reference. Talk soon, Karen in North Carolina. Well, thank you, Karen, and I agree with you completely. I said that too. At 64, I'm 11 years older than you. I'm in a bigger hurry. I was 20, I knuckle down and we just fight. At 64, I'm feeling a little concerned that we need to rectify things, get things back on the straight and narrow, and get some accomplishments. That's going to be harder to do or harder to watch when I'm 68, which is 4 years from now. So I get what you're saying. This is why we need to put our nose to the grindstone right now and kick some ass and go after these motherfuckers. All right, next up. Thank you, Karen. Hi, Mike. I just want to thank you for putting out a great podcast. I am a white 62-year-old lifelong Democrat, and hearing a like minded voice is refreshing after reelecting the orange turd. The right is licking their chops to screw the working class people. Now that he's in, how can we get him out? Is there any route to sending him packing? Also, I'm a 40-year Teamster and cannot believe our Teamster leadership has bent a knee to Donald Trump. Take care, Mike, and would love to chat. JB. Well, you're welcome to come on and chat anytime. And the only thing we can do is hopefully the Congress will block him at every turn, just like they did to us the last 4 years. And we keep it loud. We keep exposing what we know and try to change the narrative. Unfortunately, that's the only thing we've got right now, unless there's something going on in the background that we don't know. And I'm, like you, not convinced that that is the case. All right, Mike, I absolutely love your show. It's the only thing currently keeping me from letting anger and despair get the best of me. My belief of how we become a country where over half our citizens believe a bigoted, immoral, misogynistic, convicted criminal has been sent from God to save America. First, an underfunded education system leading to the dumbing down of Americans, and second, using abortion as an emotional political tool every damn election cycle. None of this is by accident. Thoughts, Deb? No, I agree with you. They've been working on this for decades and decades with regards to the abortion issue and attempting to steal every dollar they can get from us. I've said before, they're not just after a lot of money. They want all the money. The sad thing is, the thing that they don't understand, once they get all of our money, they got no place else to go. They're going to sink too. But that's just how stupid these motherfuckers are. They're absolutely ignorant. All right. Hi, Boomer. I'm listening to your podcast with Yulina as a guest. The topic is marginalized votes for Trump. I have two biracial children over 30 years old, and of course, they voted on the correct side of history. However, my daughter was telling me about one of her friends, also biracial, that voted for Trump. And my daughter asked why. He replied, Trump is a G. He got indicted. He's one of us. Of course, I was horrified because not all people of color have been indicted, but it did make me realize maybe Trump was smarter than I thought grifting those hideous gold tennis shoes. Although I just hated writing the words Trump and smart in the same sentence, just thought I would relay the message that possibly could be a reason, although a horrible one at that. Love your show and your podcast, Shelley from Nebraska. Thank you, Shelley. I appreciate that. And that is horrifying. Somebody deciding to vote for Donald Trump because he's a G and because he's been indicted and convicted, just like us. Like who? I dare say not too many of us here in this audience of this podcast. And even if there are some people that have been convicted of crimes, and we have had one guest that comes on with some regularity that's had a checkered past, but has changed things in his life and is a good human being now and a great guest on the program. I believe his name is Paul. It's sad to think like that. And you know, we've said that Donald Trump is not a serious politician. Apparently, we have a lot of unserious constituents as well. It's fucking abhorrent. All right. The next one says, hello, Mike. Thank you for having Yulina on your show. She was wonderful. She brilliantly expressed all my frustration and anxiety since the election, loved her honesty and her fighting spirit. I have thought a lot about a statement she made, and it really gave me pause. She said, everything happens for a reason, and maybe it had to happen this way for this country to move in a positive direction. She's absolutely right. And I hope people start to feel and realize Trump and Republican leaders are not there to help them. The whole situation about H-1B visa that Elon wants to die on, his words, should give them a wake-up call. Basically, Elon and Vivek are telling MAGA that they're not smart enough and not hardworking enough to work in tech. Do you think MAGA and Republican voters will finally put two and two together and it's rich and powerful versus the rest of us? Or better yet, will they finally realize that their red state governors and elected leaders have been destroying their education to keep them at the bottom. Do you think they'll wake up? And why? And that the will they wake up to the fact that leaders have withheld millions of dollars from our schools? Didn't Greg Abbott just close up a bunch of schools in Texas? When are people going to hold them responsible for keeping them uneducated and poor? Trump sided with Elon. He will continue to do that because that's where the money is. My Republican relatives have already moved the goalpost. Now they're echoing, oh, it's hard lowering prices when they're already high. There's just no limit to their blind devotion. So frustrating. We just have to keep talking and being loud and urge our own leaders to stand up and do what we need to do. I have made a promise that I will be writing to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries weekly, along with my senators and my MAGA representatives, and express what I want them to do, especially asking for all things this country has lost, like the Fairness Doctrine, Citizens United, and also the Chevron Doctrine, which allowed federal agencies to go after corrupt corporations. Now they can poison us, and we can't say shit unless someone rich is willing to sue, and we know where the rich stand in this country. We need so much more to fix this country, and we have to have, as citizens, be loud and be sure that our senators and reps hear us. Thanks, V. Thank you, V. You're absolutely spot on. Dear Mike, you are a growing coalition of like-minded creators and contributors. I hope that's the case. I love it, Boomer, and it's giving me hope. We need hope, and we need true fighters who care about our country and its future. Von Schitz's pants is a fucking embarrassment. They effed around, and we're all going to have to find out. It sucks, but you rock. I appreciate you, brother. Sincerely, Beth in Redneck, Indiana. All right, the next one says, hey, Boomer, it feels like there's an all-out assault on Americans. If we can believe absurdities, we can commit atrocities. There are fellow humans that believe some truly heinous things about their fellow humans. Think on algorithms and conspiracies. I recognize how much I potentially influenced. A good example is an algorithm led me to you, brother. I'm not religious, but I believe in Christian biblical principles, things like love of money is evil, and my people perish for lack of knowledge. That verse sounds a bit conspiratorial, don't you think? I do. Trump is a fucking idiot, but he's a greedy fucking idiot. The thing is, Trump tells his always proud boys, stand back and stand by. 2020 literally broke some people's brains. A worldwide pandemic created perfect soil for a psychological warfare, divide and conquer. Break everything, break America, kill women, feed a people a steady diet of lies, encourage shamelessness. We need Jack Smith on the job. Beth. Well, I tend to agree with you, Beth, and I appreciate your input. I appreciate everybody's input. That's what this show is about. It's not about me just standing up here and pontificating every day. That would get boring. If not for you, certainly me. I enjoy when people get a chance to participate because there's so many smart people out there that have different perspectives, different ideas, different ways of doing things. I think if you do anything in your life, you try to constantly be learning. Have some curiosity. Hear what people have to say. Not all of what they say will resonate with you, but you'll learn every step of the way. You'll look at different angles and different perspectives, and then you can decide what works for you. And hopefully that's what this podcast and the TikToks and the lives all do for people. You don't have to just hear it from me, hear it from some other folks too. And once we realize that there are a lot of people of a like mind, then we can actually do something, especially as we gather together more and more people. There's power in numbers, and the numbers we have are growing all the time. We got to keep it growing, keep the ball rolling, and keep the momentum going the right fucking way. All right. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you have a great day. Great New Year 2025. My fingers are crossed, hoping it's going to get better. We've got some stumbling blocks. We've got some hurdles, but I believe in being positive, and I think we can do better in 2025. So have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.